With best-in-its-class 4K resolution, 60 OF, a Snapdragon 845 processor, Tobii eye tracking, an internal 128 gig built-in memory, and an external 256 gig SD card slot. All for the content that you could possibly want to load on there. The Pico Neo 2i has blown up the VR market. Now, how does it compare to other markets on the headset? Well, I'd say there's one standout competitor, and that's similar to it, and that's the Oculus Quest. When you look at it as a consumer price, yes, the Pico Neo i2 is more expensive, $899 versus $499. But the Pico Neo 2i is an enterprise headset designed for business use. Now, if you compare the Pico Neo 2i and the Oculus Quest enterprise headsets, then the Pico is a bargain at $899 versus $1,000. You're getting 2 gig extra RAM, more than 25% additional resolution, electromagnetic controller tracking, a built-in SD card slot for an additional 256 gig of storage, and of course, that beautiful eye tracking. Speaking of resolution, the Pico Neo 2i matches the Quest for 2D 360 and 3D VR 180 at a maximum of 5.7K, although the Quest recommends 5.2K for both resolutions. When you get to 3D 360, the Pico does jump out ahead a little bit, with 4.7K versus 4K. With the foveated rendering and the increased resolution of the Pico screens, it's a significant viewing difference in favor of the Pico. Add to that the RGB stripe subpixel arrangement instead of the pen tile arrangement found on other headsets, and that makes the Pico Neo 2i the sharpest display of any wireless VR headset. The Pico Neo 2 has dynamic foveated rendering enabled by Tobii Spotlight technology with a 90 Hz output frequency. What does that exactly mean? Well, the headset will fully render the area you're looking at while reducing the quality of the image in your peripherals. It's called foveated rendering. It works much the same way that your actual eyes work. Here's a quick experiment for you. Focus on something right in front of you and then hold something up on the edge of your field of vision. You'll probably won't be able to read the stuff over here on the edge of your field of your vision. By utilizing a natural effect, this type of rendering allows the headset to offer a better frame rate, higher resolutions, and more complex shading, all without an expensive GPU. Eye tracking requires some calibration, and there are some small glitches once in a while, but for the most part, I've found it to be very reliable. The eye tracking is from Tobii, the acknowledged world leader in eye tracking technology. What this means for businesses is that its eye tracking offers enhanced mechanics and gathering, allowing your business to gain key insights into customer behavior, reduce training time, and improve safety and productivity. The dynamic foveated rendering powered by Tobii Spotlight technology increases frame rates by up to 66% and reduces GPU shading loads by up to 72%, leading to higher quality visuals and more efficient performance. It's one of those smart solutions that I'd say is a total game changer. By introducing a new technology, you've now made a system that performs better and is ultimately cheaper for that performance. As a VR content creator myself, I think wireless VR streaming is likely one of the next big frontiers in entertainment. The ability to pop on a headset and just start immersing yourself means that the barrier to entry to newcomers is being removed. Now, one thing the Pico has not done is opted not to put manual IPD adjustments. That's the space between your eyes. And while I understand the idea behind the why, I'm not sure I agree with it 100%. The optical design for the lenses can accommodate a wide range of IPD from 55mm to 71mm. Pico called this adaptive, meaning that the overall sweet spot is achievable for people within this range. The average IPD is around 63 to 64mm. So Pico felt confident that the range offered by the Neo 2 would be fine for the majority of end users. When designing the headset, the team looked at how it was going to be used and by whom. For business use, Pico felt a lot of the clients would have little to no experience in VR, So it wanted to create a headset that was more plug and play, so to speak, and require minimum setup. This was especially important for headsets being used by a large number of people where a simple process to handle mass use was important, especially in situations where minimal guidance was available. While this solution might not be perfect for everyone, there is a general issue within the virtual reality industry regarding IPD in that a lot of users don't understand how it works or what it does, and often at times not use it the correct way. This is less of an issue with more experienced users, but again, as much of Pico's target audience are new to VR, this could be a barrier or a point of confusion. Let's talk a little bit about the design of the Pico Neo 2i. The Pico Neo 2i kind of reminds me of a retro gaming console. Dull grays and blacks with rounded edges. While the developers have said that the headset is primarily for business, I'd still like to see them give it a little bit more sleeker look. After all, while I am a businessman myself, I do like a good VR gaming session. In the past, after a particularly tenacious level of Beat Saber, I've often found myself readjusting my slipping headset with my Oculus. The Pico Neo 2i has done a few interesting things here to solve the comfort issue. This headset comes with a surprisingly comfortable head strap that can be easily adjusted at the back using a large dial, similar to a good construction hard hat, if you've ever seen one or ever had to wear one on a building site. This means no annoying Velcro to snag stray hairs of hair. Also, they place the battery pack on the back, which balances the headset nicely while distributing the weight for added comfort. They also have a plug-in for additional battery power if you need it. Now, speaking of the battery, I've clocked it in at about 1.5 to 2 hours per charge. Not bad, but not great. But there is a connection for an external battery, as I mentioned, to supplement for the main internal power. The controllers come with a standard button layout, so you won't have to figure out how to run anything again from scratch. I found them entirely viable for gaming, and as I mentioned before, they come with electromagnetic tracking. That's great because it allows controllers to track without a direct line of sight to the instrument. So if your controllers are off to the side, they'll still hang in there. While early forms of electromagnetic tracking had a few deficiencies, like being affected by metal and limited range, I haven't found any of these features to be a problem with the Pico Neo 2i. Now, as for sound, the hidden speakers in the headband, as you can see maybe right here, as well as built-in headphone jack, which is right over here, and also take note, smartphones. This makes it a lot easier connecting up. So let's talk about the final thing, the stores, Oculus versus Pico. If there's one place that Pico does not excel over Oculus, it's in the app offerings. Yes, this is an enterprise unit, but even then, some may want access to games. Now, Pico has addressed that with its own store, and the selections are growing, but it's still a long way from what's contained in the Oculus store. But there is another option, and that is the streaming assistant. With the streaming assistant, you can connect your PC and Steam VR to purchase and play any of the games that are available there. The streaming can be done wirelessly, or the wired version is now in beta. The process is simple and straightforward. With wireless mode, both devices need to be on the same Wi-Fi connection. I tested the wired mode by connecting my laptop via the USB-C 3.1 to USB-C 3.1 on my laptop. The connection wasn't perfect, but Pico is working to improve that. I played 3 different games: Alex Half-Light, Arizona Sunshine, and Angry Birds Isle of Pigs. The visuals were good, but there was a little intermittent latency that made it a little rough. It's just not quite there yet, but as I mentioned, Pico is working on improving it. So, my final thoughts about the Pico. In general, I think this is undoubtedly raised the bar in what can be expected on VR headsets going forward. While some of the new technologies are a little rough around the edges, sometimes, there's certainly a welcome improvement over what's been done in the past. In general, the Pico is aggressive in the headset market. And I think that the public will benefit significantly from the competition. Unlike Oculus, they have not walked away from 3DOF headsets. The G2, which has 2 versions right now, has an excellent 3DOF headset, and I'm looking forward to testing and reviewing it as well. Now, I can wholly recommend it as a solid product. It's well worth the investment for whatever your VR needs might be. And I can't wait to see what future holds for this technology. Enjoy and have fun with VR. And please remember to go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel and ring the bell for getting notifications and visit my website often. Give me some comments. Let me know what you think of all this.